Ukrainian forces are advancing into the Kursk region, turning what was once a defensive stand into a renewed cross-border push. These gains now open the path to outflank and encircle Russian positions from the north to crush the already overstretched enemy lines and reshape the dynamics of the entire front. Euromaidan Press media outlet says, a key factor behind this success has been the relentless Ukrainian airstrike campaign against Russian reinforcements and command centers across both Sumy and Kursk. This has created openings for Ukrainian ground units to press forward. Complementing airstrikes, Ukraine's drone campaign is inflicting devastating damage on Russian positions at the tactical level. Heavy drone platforms like the Vampire hexacopter are proving decisive, flying long-range night missions with payloads up to 20 kilograms. These drones are not just dropping improvised explosives, but carrying devastating ordnance, including anti-tank mines and a series of mortar rounds, which complicate Russian attempts to maneuver. Euromaidan Press says, with Russian forces concentrated in Sumy and stretched thin after weeks of costly attacks and devastating airstrikes, Ukrainian commanders have again opted for tactical maneuvers rather than frontal attrition. Instead of smashing head-on into Russia's lines, they are methodically cutting off isolated groups, collapsing salients piece by piece, and pushing back into Kursk in the process. This strategy takes advantage of the area where settlements are small, scattered, and dispersed, making it easier to bypass and encircle Russian detachments rather than fight through each one in sequence. Ukrainian advances north of Kindrativka and into rural Kursk show this logic in action, turning the international border into little more than a reference line. In practice, the fighting forms a unified battle space where Ukraine's forces cross back and forth, exploiting Russian vulnerabilities while ignoring state boundaries that no longer reflect realities on the ground. The result is a steadily deteriorating situation for the Russian command, and what began as an attempt to push into Sumy has now backfired, with Ukraine not only halting the incursion but clawing back ground across the frontier. Russian infantry, deprived of supplies and hammered by Ukrainian air and drone strikes, cannot establish a coherent defense, and by advancing north, Ukraine is opening the possibility of flanking Russian troops, still holding pockets of territory in Sumy from behind, threatening their lines of retreat and accelerating their collapse. Euromaidan Press reports. Ukraine's steady progress highlights how momentum has shifted from a desperate defensive fight to prevent Russian forces from reaching Sumy city into an operation pushing enemy troops back into Kursk. The border itself is losing meaning in the chaos of battle, and Ukraine is now able to carry the fight onto Russian soil to disrupt the enemy's remaining footholds. Ukrainian forces hit a chemical facility deep in Russia's Perm Oblast that produces components for military explosives, demonstrating Kyiv's expanding reach into Russian industrial targets. The attack was part of broader Ukrainian operations targeting Russian war-related infrastructure on the 13th to the 14th of September, including one of the largest oil refineries and railroads, said Euromaidan Press media outlet. Drones struck the Metafrax chemicals plant in Gubaka on the 13th of September, according to Regional Governor Dmitry Manohin, who reported no casualties and said the facility continued normal operations. Russian news channel Astra later identified the specific target: the newly built urea production workshop that opened just last year. The facility represents a significant strategic target due to its dual-use chemical production capabilities. According to defense publication Militani, the plant produces urea, a key component in ammonium nitrate mixtures that can serve as explosive filling for both civilian and military applications, including artillery shells and mines. While Metafrax Chemicals avoids public ties to Russia's defense sector, its parent company, Roshchem, supplies chemical products directly to military industries. Metafrax ranks among Russia's largest methanol producers and landed the 200th spot in Forbes' 2021 ranking of the country's biggest private companies. Local residents posted footage showing building damage and smoke rising from the facility, located approximately 1,600 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, while Ukrainians' intelligence later confirmed their responsibility for the strike. Russia's defense ministry claimed its air defenses shot down 80 drones overnight, though that number couldn't be verified. Intelligence services simultaneously struck railway lines that Ukraine's main intelligence directorate and special operations forces have now openly claimed responsibility for. The rail operations hit Oryol and Leningrad oblasts on the 13th to the 14th of September, an intelligence source told RBC Ukraine. These railway branches are critically important logistics links in supplying occupying forces in the Kharkiv and Sumy directions, the source explained. The goal: create major supply headaches that would substantially affect their ability to carry out active operations. In Oryol Oblast, explosive devices killed 3 Russian National Guard personnel during track inspections. Governor Andrei Klitschkov reported Leningrad Oblast saw a locomotive derail with 15 cisterns attached. Governor Alexander Drozdenko called them empty, but Ukrainian sources claimed they carried fuel. A separate derailment killed a train engineer. Russian investigators suspect sabotage in both cases.